Okay, so thank you for joining tonight's class. It's the 28th of November, 2023, Tuesday. So the class tonight is called Sunyata, spelled Sunyata, Sunyata. So what? Sunyata, so what? Well, let's start with what it means. I think Sunya means void, emptiness, and Sunyata means empty. So the Sunya is empty, Sunyata, emptiness, void, voidness. And it's all about the true nature of reality, the true nature of reality. We perceive our dreams to be not as they are. We perceive our dreams to be dream mind person here, external object out there, not relying on the mind to create that dream. And in dependence upon that incorrect perception, conception, we get scared in the dream. We have nightmares, or we have lovely dreams or beautiful dreams, whatever it might be. Something chases us, we're screwing around and we're frightened. If we realize in the dream that it's a dream, all of that just goes, all of that fear goes, because the subject, object, external object thing just evaporates. And because we recognize that it's just the mind playing out appearances, there's no basis for the fear. There's no basis for the fear in the dream. So the key to fear evaporating in a dream is recognizing that it is a dream. In other words, recognize the true nature of that experience is mind. The true nature of that experience is mind. Now, when we realize, and we can realize it obviously when we wake up, we can think, oh blimey, I thought that was all real. I didn't realize it was the mind doing it. I thought it was actually just a thing playing out, an external world that's not created by the mind. But now I know it was just a dream. Now I know the nature of it. All that fear falls away. We might get a bit of a residual, and I've said this before in classes, you might get a bit of residual and you sort of knock your partner or something and go, oh, you were a real pain in the backside in that dream. And go, it wasn't me, I've been laid here. People have that sort of experience where they're annoyed with their partner for or parent or grandchild or child for a little bit. They know it's not true, but those feelings are still dissipated out of them once they've woken up. Now, imagine you're dreaming. Imagine you're dreaming. And you know you're dreaming. Well, imagine you're dreaming and you don't know you're dreaming. There's loads of objects. There's the object, Paul, and then there's all these other objects, tree, house, dog, cat, budgie, road. And it feels like they're all separate from a mind that's creating them. They're just there. They just exist. And it's all going on. If we were to get lucid dreaming and recognize that it's just a dream, we know it's all mind. What happens to the objects that we thought were there? The real tiger that was chasing us. Well, the real tiger never existed, right? But there was a perception by the mind of a real tiger. In other words, the mind created an image of a tiger in the dream, totally forgot it did it, failed to recognize it had created it, thought it was out there in a separate world, and got scared. Generated a person, forgot it generated a person as well, dream me, and then that dream me felt it was real and got scared. So the perception in the dream of a real person and a real tiger, that was never happening. It was always the mind. It was always the dream. And that's what this is. Right? That's what this is. I'll come on to it. So that's what this is. It's dreamlike. Clearly, I can't just make things float around and stuff. There are rules to this in the way that there aren't rules to when we fall asleep and there's a dream. But that dream tiger that we were scared of never ever existed. What existed was an appearance, a mirage in the dream. A part of the dream mind, was an image of a tiger. The real tiger that we were scared of never existed. The real dream me never existed. There was just a part of the mind appearing like a person. It's quite incredible. In our dream, the mind creates a load of appearances. It then fails to recognize it's done that, believes them to be external to it, and gets afraid. Pretty absurd, isn't it? It's pretty absurd. So we can quite easily see that the dream mind is heavily deluded. And what do I mean by deluded? Well, it doesn't recognize things the way they exist. It doesn't find truth, it finds falsity. It sees things that are not there. It sees things that are not there. Entirely not there. There's no real, when we're dreaming, there's no real tiger or lion running around in our head, is there? There's just the appearance that the mind makes of that image. And that bit, that dream tiger, is not a separate bit of the dream mind. It's not a little blob of the dream mind. The dream mind is just appearance, no edges to anything. So therefore, there's no objects. If we realize we're dreaming, we realize that it's all mental appearance and there's no object. There's no individual object. Just like this screen that you're looking at now, your mind goes, meditation teacher, headphones, glasses, door. That's not what you're looking at. You're looking at a load of tiny, tiny spots of colour on the screen. And nowhere on that is an actual object. And that's what dream mind does, exactly the same. It creates an image like your computer screen. And it decides a bit of it is an object. And there's no edge to any of this. It decides a little bit of it is an object and it calls it door. And the dream thinks that's not created by mind. It's really out there. And then it takes this bit and says, dream me, forgets it's done that, believes this is a real me out in the big wide world, not created by mind, door not created by mind. And then we get a dream that feels very real, with objects like books and boxes and things. No objects in dreamland. There's no objects, there's just mind. Just like this is just screen. So you can see in the dream, the cause of suffering is misperceiving the nature of what's appearing. If we know it's just mind, we go, oh, I'm dreaming. These scary monsters, they can't hurt me. They're just an apparition. They're just an appearance. And all the fear falls away. If we do the same with the waking world, the same thing happens. If we get it in meditation, after a while of contemplating, reading, listening to teachings like this and meditating, once the mind recognizes that this is all just merely appearance, including this, then there's no edge to any of it. There's no object. There's no self and other. There's no duality here and there. non-duality, then there's no basis for fear. Any fear. And so it seems very, very important. You could almost say the purpose in life could be to check if there are objects in the waking world, as there appears to be. Now, there really does appear to be keys. Definitely appears to be keys. No, I can tap them. Sound, physical. You can have this experience just as vivid in a dream. Just as vividly in a dream. So the fact that this all feels solid is not proof that this is not dreamlike. This is not created by, this is not mind. Because this experience can happen in a dream. What we can do is search for the objects. What we can do is search for the objects. And if the objects, if we found a real lion in a dream, then it couldn't really be a dream because there's an external lion separate from the mind, not relying for its existence on the mind appearing it. It's just there as an object in the dream, a real tiger. We never do. We can't because it's the mind. Right. So are there objects here? Well, we're sent to there being objects, just like we do in a dream when we're confused. And we can do a search to see if there's an object. Now, the mind doesn't like this at a certain point, and I'll tell you the point from experience that the mind is going to go, no, don't agree with that. Because the lens of the mind is distorted with ignorance about the way things exist, it's only when it straightens that it actually recognizes a real, basic, simple experience of reality. It's not that this teaching is wrong or deluded or confused or trickery or semantics. It's like, if I'm telling you somebody's a really nice person and you hate them, you will have none of it. It's not that you disagree. You won't disagree. You'll say they aren't. They are not a good person, because that hate exaggerates their faults and doesn't perceive the fault as being a belief about them in the mind or a view. It feels like the fault is actually in a person over there and they're horrible. And no amount of me trying to convince you if you've got hate will change that. So my words and this teaching alone won't allow you to see that this is dream. This is mind. What will happen is, over time, contemplating and thinking, is that the lens of our mind, the filter of our mind straightens out and we go, oh, but it takes a while because our habit over years and years and over a lifetime, possibly lifetimes, is to misapprehend this as an external world and an external person and a mind in here that isn't creating all of this. So let's check. So keys. I didn't prepare this. I just picked any old thing up. Keys. Okay. Do they exist? Does that key exist independent of mind? Is there an object key? I could take any one atom and go, is that atom the key? No, throw it away. Is that atom the key? No, throw it away. Is that atom the key? No, throw it away. And I could do that for ages. And I could throw away atoms. Take me a long time, obviously. But we could end up with a pile of atoms on the side, none of which individually is the key. So we've done a search for the key. Can't find it. All we end up with is a pile of atoms, none of which is the key. So we've done a search in the parts for the key. All we've done is we'll look closer. If we're an electron microscope, it's like looking closer. Now, the next question is, are the collection of those individual atoms a key? Well, I don't know what metal this is, but let's say it's a collection of atoms of that metal. We would say, no, but I can make that back. That's just a blob now. I can make it back into a key. It's not a key. Key. Mine says key, separate from all the other bits of this image that you're looking at. Key, not created by mind, object. Now there's appearance here. I'm not saying there's nothing here. In a dream, there's appearance. You don't find any real objects in a dream, even though they appear to the deluded mind that doesn't know it's dreaming. Atom, is that the key? No. Atom, is that the key? No. You end up with nothing there and a pile of atoms. None of them are the key. There's not an extra object. Let's say, I know there isn't, but let's say there's 1,000 atoms in there. 1,000 atoms there. Each one is not the key. There's not the 1,000 atoms plus one object key. There's just 1,000 atoms. None of them individually are the key. And it's a pile. And we can say, I'm going to make that pile of atoms into a key. It can't be one. So we've done a little simple check there. An unfindable object. Non-findable object. The object isn't there. There's appearance. There's appearance, general appearance. But just like in the dream, it's not an object. There's not nothingness because there's appearance. This is dreamlike. What I'm doing is I'm appearing in the dream, telling you from within your own mind the nature of what's being experienced. I'm telling the mind what it is, not what it thinks is going on. Now, ultimately, you could say, well, who's Paul teaching this? There isn't. Is there actually mind? Yeah, if it appears. If it doesn't, there isn't. But not findable. There can be appearance of mind. Because the mind takes a portion and says object. So we've got these atoms we want to make back into a key. Now let's start the other way around. Start taking atoms off. And get down to there. So you've got a pile of atoms there that are half of it, and then you've got that that's still remaining. Where's the key? Which hand is the key in at that point? That's gone. That remains. The other half's there. Which hand is the key in? We say it's half a key, don't we? Half a key. Keep pulling those atoms. They all end up in this hand. Key's gone. I can make that back into a key if I want to. I can make it into other objects. I could make it into a sphere. I could make it into a cube. I could make it into a key. So all we do is we rearrange those atoms into a shape, merely appearing. And depending on that shape, we give it a name, a noun, for the collection in that shape. And if it's shaped like that, we call it a key. If it's shaped like a sphere, we call it a ball. And we can do this for any object in the entire universe. What else can I do with? Pencil. Pencil. Is the lead the pencil? We'll put lead in the pencil. Take the lead out. Is the rubber the pencil? No, you put a rubber on the top of the pencil. Take that away. Is the clip the pencil? No, it's the clip that you put on the pencil. Throw that away. Is the case the pencil? Case on its own, if it was just that bit, would that be a pencil? No. It'd be a case of the pencil. Can't write with it. Doesn't function as a pencil until you actually put lead in it and this bit and, you know, other gubbins that are inside it. What do you have to take? What can you take away and there still be you? Your body. Let's say your body. What can you take away and it's still your body? Could you take away this? And all from there down is the body. Well, you'd say it's a headless body, wouldn't you? Headless body, the headless horseman. It's a headless body. So we'll take the head away. Can we take the arms away? Yeah, body with no arms. Take the arms away. Can we take the legs away? Yeah, say a body with no legs. So we're left with our torso. So we pile all the things up that I've just thrown away, the head, the arms, the legs, put them onto one side. We have the torso on that side, which is the body. These were all removable bits that weren't the body. Arms, legs, head, torso. One of the simplest way this is explained, if you've ever seen Only Fools and Horses, is Trigger's broom. I mean, it's based on a classic, I think it's Greek philosophy question about a ship. If you replace gradually one by one every bit of that ship, sailing ship, is it the same ship? So Only Fools and Horses, in their genius wisdom, reduced it down to 2 bits, Trigger's broom. So Trigger's got this broom. He's had it for, I can't remember now, 10 years. And they ask him, like, you've had the same broom for 10 years? Yeah, but it's had 7 heads and 8 handles in that time. They'll look at each other. Apparently every cell dies every 6 weeks, doesn't it? I don't know about brain cells, but everything's in flux. If you look in an electron microscope, everything's changing. This whole body changes. Another really simple way to look at it is that an object can't change, because then it would be a different object. It would be this object, it would be that object. If it changed at all in the slightest, 1 gazillionth of a bit, it would be that object, not this object. In which case, all there would be, if there was objects, would be permanence, not change. It'd be impossible for there to be the experience of change in a world where there are external objects. So they wouldn't be this object anymore if they change, they'd be that object. I'm recording this so you can go back to it if you like, because it's not complicated. It's just very difficult for the mind that perceives an out there all the time, even in the dream world, to grasp. It's like the penny drops, and then you go, oh yeah, oh crikey. It just requires contemplating. What do we experience? We experience impermanence. Everything is impermanent. Gross impermanence, such as the changing of the seasons, the growing of this body and the dying of this body, the changing of the trees, the leaves dropping off. Excuse me, and we experience subtle impermanence. If you look closely, everything's coming into existence momentarily. In fact, so everything's coming into influx, constantly changing. Look under an electron microscope again, everything's changing. And science tells us if we look close enough, we just get to vibration and energy and probability. Nothing can be pinned down. In fact, science corroborates that there's no objects. Science looks closer and closer and it just finds weirdness that it can't comprehend, quantum physics. And it seems like the observer affects the outcome. in scientific experiments ultimately? Well, that's of course it can, if this is mind. The observer can change the outcome merely by observing, if this is appearance. If it's not mere appearance, that can't happen. The observer can't change the outcome of an experiment by observing it merely. So science corroborates this truth that this is mind. This is mere appearance, because mind gets appeared as well, ultimately. So Sunyata refers to the unfindability of the object. So the word void and voidness I don't like that. It sounds a bit barbaric or not very pleasant. Sunyata as a state of mind is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's fearless. It's worryless and fearless. Just like when the dream's recognized. So void, I don't like the idea of void or voidness. It's merely the unfindability of an object when we search for it anywhere. We can pull anything apart, we only find the bits, which is just looking deeper in, you get a different appearance. Looking deeper in, you get a different appearance, and then another appearance, and you don't find the object. At one point, there was this belief that there were solid atoms, and they found the indivisible building blocks of life. And then the atom was split. And we were all told it was like a snooker ball. Well, what happened to that when it was split and we were told there was electrons, neutrons, and protons? Most of it being space. What happened to this indivisible single object, atom? Where did it go? It was an idea. The appearance changes as we look closer, and the object that we believed is nowhere to be found. Other objects appear to be there. Then we split those, and they were never there. And on, quarks and gluons and all that sort of stuff, subatomic particles. And we look closer into that, and we realise, again, as I've said, that it can be seen as vibrational probability. Just becomes one idea laid onto a constantly changing appearance, depending on how close or further away we look. We never find the object. If an object's there, you look closer and closer and closer, you find the object. Science doesn't do that. Closer an atom, no atom. Oh, closer and closer an electron, no electron. Closer and closer at probability, well, it gets wacky. Come out from the electron, come out from the atom. Come out from the atom. Person. Oh, not really. Atoms, not really. Or electrons, not really. Probably. If nothing exists, no objects exist, you can still have appearance. We know this from our dream. Now we function, there's functioning. So we have to use language and ideas to communicate and do things. Can you please move me that box? Can you open me that door? Can you fix these headphones? Can recognize in the dream, lucid dreaming, that it's just a dream. And our mind can move that dream around. We can go for a walk in that dream. We can look at the trees in that dream. We know there's no objects there, there's just appearance. So it's no different than this. You can move around in this. This can be experienced. Actually, do you move around in this, or does the appearance change around the center of experience? We feel like we're moving around in the universe. I would assent in just the same way. The dream person is always at the center of the dream. The dream appearance is moving around the dream mind, a center point of the dream person. Same here. We're always in the middle of it in our experience. And it's always now. Time is also empty of inherent existence. Can't find time if we look for time. The most we can pin time down to is a concept, something that repeats cyclically. Whether we pin that on a vibrating atom, whether we pin it on a pendulum swinging, something circling the earth, or circling something else. All time is a repetition that's even. That's not even what time is. Time is an idea that we stick to those things because it's useful. I'll see you when the moon's gone around the earth 3 times. What we're going to call that? 3 days. Okay, it's just an idea. Can't find time when we look for it. We can't find space when we look for it. Dimension, space, distance. We can't find distance. Say, what is a meter? A meter gets defined as something. It doesn't exist of itself. Scientists say a meter is a bar of whatever metal kept at this humidity and this temperature in this room in France or wherever. And that's the yardstick, excuse the pun, by which all meters are known. All we've done is gone, there's a thing there, everything else is multiples of it or divisions of it. It's not a meter in itself, just a made-up idea. We can't find anything really that's a meter. The meter gets redefined, the second gets redefined. It can't if it's inherently existent. It can't change. It is what it is. So the mind starts with an idea and apportions it to a bit of appearance. So the mind creates object as an idea and it imputes it onto a certain bit. Let's say a meter corner of a room is an Ujima flip. We've just created the object. That's an Ujima flip. 3 of us can now all agree that that bit there is an Ujima flip. If I ask you where the Ujima flip is, you don't point over there. You point up there. The mind just created an object. We can cut that bit out with a bricklayer and we can stick it down there on the garden and it's an Ujima flip. And there are 8 of those. We can find 8 in the room. Mind creates object merely as idea and imputes it onto a bit of what merely appears. And merely means no more than. In this context, merely means no more than. Just appearance. There's not nothingness and there's not an outside. There's not an out there. And this is what the Buddha meant by the middle way. The middle way gets used in all sorts of different contexts in Buddhism. Moderation. The middle way, not too much of this, not too little of that. But what he's actually talking about is not going to the extreme of objects being separate from mind and not going to the extreme of nothingness. It's just merely appearance, including Buddha and including Buddhism, created by mind. And what Buddhism is the appearance into the mind. It's an appearance created by mind that tells the mind the correct thing that's happening. The mind generates Buddhism, and the teachings of Buddhism go, this isn't real. You're mistaken. And then the mind can actually chew on that. So Buddhism is a form of the mind waking up to its nature. And that's what awakened means. That's what enlightenment means. Waking up. Waking from the sleep of ignorance. I hope I haven't sent you to sleep with this teaching. We're going to do a little meditation for 5 minutes. Apologies that this is going to be a little bit longer than the normal sessions, but I hope you're okay with that. Okay. So get yourself comfortable. And if you're awake by this point, well done, because there is a tendency when teachings get complicated like this and deep and profound, that the mind can just shut off not ready for it, can just shut off. And that's quite normal, it's quite common. Or get angry thinking, what's he on about? What a load of rubbish. So the mind is pushing back and rejecting. Okay. So if you want to get yourself comfortable, see if you can feel a sense of self. You know, that there's a me sitting in the chair, there's a me meditating. You know, this feels a stronger sense of me if you feel indignant or ashamed, or furious, or embarrassed. We're going to do a little meditation on the emptiness of the body, the unfindability of the body, Sunyata. I'd like you to imagine that atoms start to waft away from your body. They start to leave the body. And when we check, each atom is not the body. An atom of carbon or hydrogen or oxygen, whatever, sodium. Imagine eventually all those atoms are in a pile at the side of where your mind is meditating and visualizing. Imagine all those atoms just waft off to the side into a pile. And all there is in the chair or the bed or the floor is the mind. And at the side is all those atoms. Ask yourself, is that pile of atoms a body? And give yourself time to think about the ways in which we can consider this from what I've explained. Those atoms could be made into other things. None of those atoms in itself is the body. It's a collection of atoms. There's not an additional thing, body. Now imagine that pile of atoms start to come back one by one. You know, being built up like Minecraft or something like that. Lego. Each one coming in. Taking up the space in the shape of a body. Not creating anything more than a pile of non-bodies. Hold the view that there's no body here, just a load of atoms, none of them are the body. There's appearance, It doesn't mean, like in a dream, it doesn't mean there's an object. There's merely appearance. There's an idea in the mind of a body. It's a collection of things, but they're just atoms. Just rest with this idea. If the mind gets taken away with thoughts, just bring it back and come back to this view. Nobody found, just things that are not it. So it's dreamlike. What's being experienced now in meditation is dreamlike. It's not misapprehended as external objects. The mind appearing confusedly as an external world. I want you to imagine that this whole universe is merely appearance, dreamlike in nature. We're going to hold this view for the last 2 or 3 minutes. This whole universe is mind. You don't really have to believe it. Just try it on like you might try a jacket on for size. Hold this view for a few minutes, see the effect it has on you. Minute. Just hold you might even disagree, but just hold the view, adopt the view that everything being experienced now, including the experiencer, is mind, mere appearance. Okay, so finally just check in how you feel. Check how you feel in your head, in your heart. And this isn't dependent on your meditation ability, really, or your intellectual ability. Not at all to do with intellectual ability. It's to do with the delusion, the ignorance falling away. It's like it might when we're dreaming and realize it's a dream. You just practice it. You can, so homework if you want, some homework, is to, until next week, is to practice perceiving everything, not perceiving, but adopting the view that everything is merely appearance, merely mind. There are different factions of Buddhism and Hinduism and stuff that argue about the subtleties of all this, but the principal thing is that there's no findable objects, just like there isn't in a dream. So just adopt that view. Going around Sainsbury's or Waitrose or Tesco's or Lidl, it works just as well in Lidl as it does Waitrose. There you go. And then if your mind wanders away, because getting your keys, paying for your stuff, just as soon as you realise, oh yeah, I'm experiencing this, as I'm holding the view that this is all a dream, that this is all dreamlike. It's merely mind. I haven't got time to go into all the different schools on the nature of reality as they argue and break it down. But from my own experience, I'm awakened on and off. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not, just like sometimes we're angry, sometimes we're not. So from my experience, direct experience, I can say without any doubt, for me, there's merely objectless appearance. And then when I forget, I get sucked back into the matrix and I get all frustrated and annoyed and whatever else. And then I drop back out of it again. And it's all objectless at the end. And if you do that, check. Practice it maybe for a day or a week. Don't worry if you only remember what to do at one minute first day, 2 minutes the next, 3 minutes the next, forget the fourth, 5 minutes the next. Check in with yourself. How do you feel having done it? If you do that for half an hour diligently, check in. How it makes you feel. Because that's the proof of the pudding. Do you feel less scared about the future than you did before you had a little practice at it? Does it take that edge off? Does that fear fall away? And if you do get a taste for this, a really nice taste for it, and you're in it, in that experience, and somebody tries to offend you, they won't. They won't. It's like a dream person, when you know you're dreaming, coming into the dream and offending you. Oh, no offense. It's just appearance. It's like seeing somebody murdered in the dream. You're not horrified because it's a dream. Okay, gotta go. Right. Well, let's call that the end of the class. You can reach me on these classes that are recorded at my YouTube channel, Paul Follows Meditation, and you can sign up for reminders of classes on my website, which is paulfollows.com. I also run in-person classes, and you can find details of those on the website and the reminder class email. Thank you very much.